y'all. Welcome back to the Skookum Report. Tonight I have a couple of encounters from Canada I'm going to share with you guys. This first one is from Alberta, Canada. The gentleman doesn't give his name, but he says that I am an avid hiker, fisherman, and camper, and I do go camping on my own quite often. This one particular night I was camping on my own west of the town of Bragg Creek, Alberta. It was about 10 p.m. on a Thursday evening, July 22nd of 2010. I started to hear a fair amount of movement in the forest around me. And around 10:30 I started to hear what sounded like banging of logs together. So I did the same thing in return, but I heard nothing back. Now around 1:30 that morning it started pouring rain and thundering and lightning. And again I heard the cracking of deadfall, but this time it was very close to where I was camping. And this woke me up quite abruptly as I was laying in my tent listening with sheer amazement, too scared to move. I heard a very loud breathing going on right beside my tent. And I thought it might be a bear, and by this time I was a little more than frightened. Now, for the next 3 to 4 hours, while it was still pouring rain, I heard a constant breaking of branches. And I had a tarp strung up outside of my tent for a cooking area, and it was about 6.5 to 7 feet up off the ground. I heard the animal literally hit the tarp as though it was walking underneath it, and it made me jump. It was so unexpected. I slowly unzipped the flap on my tent to see if I could see what was making all of this noise, and I saw what seemed to be an upright creature, big and hairy, dark black, walking on 2 feet, walking down the hill towards the creek below my camp. Now, I was camping on a plateau, and I wasn't about to move for the rest of that night. And the next thing I heard was this grunting noise. It sounded like somebody was exerting themselves, and I heard this animal pick up a large boulder and throw it. And next I heard him push over a large fir tree that must have been 30 feet tall. And to my best guesstimation, it scared the living crap out of me. And this all happened on just the first night that I had arrived. Around 4:45 to 5 a.m., when daybreak was starting, the rain had finally stopped, and I heard what seemed to be a very loud bird-like call. And it was unlike any other bird that I'd ever heard in the woods before. And this was off to the north of me. And then I heard a response off to the west of me, and then to the east, and then to the south. And it sounded like I was being surrounded. After the last response, there was nothing. These calls happened every morning that I was out there, which in total was 3 nights and 4 days. And when I left the area, I called the conservation officer's office and asked if they knew of anyone that was camping in the same area the nights that I was there. And they said no, nobody was there. Just me. Now, the last morning I was there also was very interesting. I saw some pretty large impressions in the grass, what appeared to be around 14 inches long, and they looked like human footprints. Now, he said they were not bear, not moose, not deer, or even any type of cattle that he said do range freely sometimes in those areas. He said they were very distinct, around 14 inches long, that looked like human footprints. That would have I don't know how he lasted 3 or 4 days out there. I would have been gone on the first night. Oh man, this next encounter is from British Columbia, Canada, in the Cowichan Valley. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, guys. The Cowichan Valley is on the southern end of Vancouver Island. And this was in the summer of 2005. And this gentleman doesn't give his name neither. But he said over a period of that summer and the summer before and the summer after, they experienced quite a few events. It could be nothing else except Sasquatch. But he took note of every event that happened. While camping in the Cowichan Valley, we heard this animal circling us. It was circling our campsite, but far enough into the woods where we couldn't see it. And then we saw it briefly, clearly in the light of our fire, at one point, but it ran off when a loud dirt bike approached. And it was just very tall, just large. And that was it. When the dirt bike came, he was gone. Now, a friend in the same area another time says he saw a Sasquatch dart across the road and over a fence while he was driving. It used a tree to launch itself into the bush. And the tree was uprooted, and he says it's still there to this day. Another friend of ours said that he was with his girlfriend, and they saw one in the woods while they were both sleeping in his car. His girlfriend noticed something looking in the window. Then she watched it walk around the truck and then leave. Now, I'm really shocked that she didn't scream and wake him up, but I guess you never know how you're going to react when you see one of these things. Some people can't even make a sound or say anything. He said there have been some direct vocalizations between us and these animals. It's occurred twice and in the same location. And it returned the following calls. They made whistle sounds, whoops, grunts, clicks. It mimicked everything that they did. The next time they went into that same area, we heard a large branch. It sounded like a branch hitting a tree. A large piece of wood, but it happened in sequence. There was like 2 to 3 taps with about a 5-second gap, and it went on for about 30 seconds. Now, we made whooping calls, but it only returned with a couple more taps, and then we heard it leave with footfall off into the woods. One day, me and my buddies were hanging out down by the river. We were just drinking some beers and taking a break from 4x4ing, and when we all heard what sounded like a hammer driving a nail, and it sounded really similar to what I just spoke about, like a branch hitting a tree, also happened in a sequence. It occurred 3 times in a half-hour span. It was very loud and very distinctive. One night we heard a whooping call 3 times. It was very faint, but also very distinctive. He thinks there's probably many, many more sightings in the Cowichan Valley area that no one has reported. Because he said if there's this many things that have happened to them over a period of a couple summers, he can't imagine what some other people have also seen and heard out there. But he said a lot of people just don't talk about it. They're either too embarrassed or they just don't want the ridicule. And I can totally understand that. I'm sure you all know where he's coming from. But if you or anyone you know has had a sighting or a Bigfoot encounter and you'd like to have it on the channel, shoot me an email at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com. And I'll get it up on the channel for you. It's no problem at all. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button and leave a comment. I really enjoyed chatting with you guys. Meeting a lot of interesting people on here, and I enjoyed talking with you guys. So probably have another couple encounters up tomorrow, and I have an interview this weekend. I believe it's Sunday morning. So thanks for coming back to the Skookum Report, guys, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. All right, take care. Bye-bye.